Hello everyone, this is Rachel at From Moments to Milestones, and I'm here today to put together our latest paper pad card kit. This is a paper pad from Kaisercraft called Whimsy Wishes. It's a Christmas pad and it's really pretty, a lot of blues and silvers and some craft in there. So we have 7 cards to make today, so I'm going to walk you through it. As always, we have written instructions as well as a supply list listed in the back if you purchase the kit. So let's get started. Okay, our first card is Peace and Blessings. Put that off to the side here so you can see that. Okay, first things first, you have this is tonic specialty paper here in Midnight Sky, and you have 2 strips. So you're going to put the thicker one at the top and the thinner one at the bottom. And I am going to use wet glue on this just because it has so much texture. All right, and then you have this foiled snowflake paper. Okay, and you have 2 silver glossy strips of cardstock, and we're gonna edge this paper like that. So I'm gonna put some adhesive here. And then I'm going to take my paper and lay it across. I want about 1/8 of an inch of that showing on either side. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Oops. Okay, and then that is going to go right here. Now on my card, if you can tell, my is on foam. That is optional if you don't want to do that. You don't have to. Actually, today I'm just going to glue it straight down. And I have about 1/4 inch of the blue showing on the bottom. Okay, so now we're going to work on the greeting here. And so mine's going to look a little different because I'm still using papers out of my paper pad, and I didn't want to cut it into a clean sheet for this. So this was actually on the other side of this on that cut apart sheet, so we're just going to use that instead. And I'm going to use a different strip here as well. So we are going to cut a little banner end into that strip. So yours is a blue and white striped strip. Okay, and that's going to go right in here. Okay, and then I did pop up the Peace and Blessings, or the Merry Christmas here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's just gonna kind of sit on top of that banner like that. Be a little crooked. if I can get that on there right. Okay. And then we're just gonna place our snowflakes around, and then we have these smaller ones I have layered on top. So let's go ahead and get these down. Right, that one's gonna go right in here. And then this one pop up on a small foam square in the center. All right, and then this one oops, kind of hanging off the top up here. All right, if you want, you can put something on that to hold it. I am going to put a little foam square on the back of this one as well. And that is gonna go right there. And then you have some smaller snowflakes to scatter about. So I think we have one down here and one here. So one here. Okay, I have these two left, so I'm going to put a dot of glue here and a dot of glue there. And I'm just going to stick those down. And then we're going to finish the card with these rhinestones. So these were clear rhinestones, and I tried to match them to the paper. So we used an alcohol marker. Colored over them, let them dry, and so you can custom make whatever color you want when you, oops, I grabbed the wrong thing. Where is my X-Acto knife? There it is. So we're just gonna scatter these. All right, so that completes this card. Okay, our next card is Christmas Wishes. This is a shaker card. Lots of pretty stuff on the inside there. So I'll set this off to the side and we will get started. All right, the first thing we're gonna do, make sure our card's opening the right way, and we're gonna stick down this blue with silver foil paper. Making sure the words are going the right way. Okay. All right, so now we're going to build our little shaker box here. So you should have a piece of acetate in your silver frame. And so I am going to use, you can use wet adhesive. You have to wait for it to dry. Okay, I am going to put some weight on that to to let it sit for a minute while it dries. Okay, so while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm going to get out some foam strips to build up my shaker. And I am using the Scrapbook Adhesive 3D foam strips. They're nice and thin. They're perfect for this. Okay, so now I'm going to build up my shaker panel. So I'm going to make sure it's stuck down good. We can do that at the end. All right, ladies, so I apologize. Apparently I was building the card while the video was not running, and you missed me putting together the shaker portion of this card. So you had the frame, okay, so it would look, I have an extra white frame here. So you had the frame, you glued down the acetate to the frame, then you build up your foam layer, okay? Then you're going to pour in your shaker bits, and you have this seam piece of paper here. You're going to peel off the backing of the foam once your shaker bits are inside, and you're going to flip over that seam and make sure it is touching all of the foam around the edges. I took my bone folder and kind of burnished it to make sure it was sealed good. And then you have that little square shaker portion, okay? And then I just glued that down to my card. Then you have a rectangle of this blue tonic paper. And all I did was just I freehand cut a hillside. I know that's scary. If you want to do it on the draw a pencil line on the back, you can. Just going to freehand a hillside. And then I don't know if you can tell, but here is the other portion of what I cut off. So the part that was up here, I just turned over and put on the bottom. And then what I'm going to do is put some glue here and some glitter so you'll be able to tell where those hillsides are, okay? Then you should have a Christmas Wishes sentiment and a silver rectangle. So you're going to put that on to the silver glossy cardstock, and then we're going to place that right there. Okay, so that's where we are. I apologize that you missed that kind of key stuff, but I really don't have the makings to do it again. So we've all made shakers before, I hope, and hopefully you can get through that. So then we also have these trees, and I took Faded Jeans Distress ink and a sponge dauber and just inked the edges of the trees. And we are going to glue those into place. So we're going to have one here. I have one tucked here, and then the other one is going to go on that background paper behind. Okay, so we'll start with that. All right, and then this one is gonna go, I'm just gonna tuck it behind that a little bit. Here we go. And this one. I go right there. Okay. Okay, and so the other part I missed when we were making this shaker is before, you'll have a little bag of these shaker bits. There's glitter and frills and sequins in there. I reserved a couple of the snowflakes out of my shaker bits. This is optional, it's up to you, but I'm gonna put them on the outside because a lot of times when you're looking at a card like this, you lose all your shakers until you shake them. So I'm just gonna put a couple of those here so that they're visible. So there's one, and there's the other. Okay, the finishing touch is going to be the glue on those hillsides that I talked about. So I'm just going to line those hillsides. Okay, And I'm going to use that same glitter. It's just a Prisma glitter. Any brand will do. And I am going to sprinkle that on. Shake off the excess. And now you can see that hillside. So the other option would be to add some to the trees if you want. Okay. And that completes that card. Okay, our next card is Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. 'Tis the season. So I'm going to put that over here. Get my card kit. So in this card kit, you're going to have some greenery here that we need to color. So I'm going to get out some Distress inks. I have Ice Spruce, so we're just going to start with that. And we are going to take one of each size, so the large, the medium size, and the small. And we are going to cover those with Iced Spruce. So just some scrap paper here I'm going to do this on. All right, I have those three done. And then I'm going to take, I have a little dauber here somewhere that has that color. All right, and then I'm going to just take a little bit of pine needle. So a little is going to go a long way. That is a very bright color. And on this medium size one, I'm just going to do some of the tips. All right, so it's gonna look something like that. Set that one aside to dry. All right, and then I also have Stormy Sky. So I'm clean off my dauber a little bit. I think I was using Faded Jeans. And I'm just going to do the same thing with this one, just give it a blue tint. All right, so it's gonna look like that. And this one, I'm going to use some Vintage Photo. And I'm just gonna do the edges of that one. All right, so those are done. And then you have these two medium-sized ones remaining. And I'm going to, there's a little piece I need to punch up. I'm going to color these blue. So we're going to start with a Stormy Sky. All right, and then you can go in with either Faded Jeans, which or Chipped Sapphire's even darker. So I'm going to use a little bit of the Chipped Sapphire, more like a navy, just on some of the edges, like that. That's the color variation and give it some dimension. All right, those are done. So next I'm going to ink the edges. Well, before I do that, we have these three presents we need to fussy cut. So this is from your paper in the kit. I did leave a very small white border. They're easy cuts. They're pretty straight for the most part. Okay, so I have those presents fuzzy cut. Now I'm going to ink the edges of everything with Vintage Photo. Okay, that is all done and ready to go. So now we're going to put it together. So this pine piece of paper, I'm going to put in the center step here. This is a step card pre-cut from the Paper Cut. They sell a die that you can use to cut your own step cards. It will cut and score everything for you. And these are going to go, if you want to open it up, you can place it that way, or you can just tuck it in back there, which is what I'm going to do. Okay. Other side. All right, then we have this birch piece that's going to go across the bottom. Okay, and now we are going to layer up our gifts, and those are just layered straight down, and I do have this blue one popped up. All right, and then, so mine looks a little different because again, I'm working out of that kit and I'm trying to, there's only one of all these cut out, so that's why mine looks a little different. But before I'm gonna go ahead and put this piece on, which actually should have been tucked behind there. So let me just pull that up a little, and I'm only gonna put glue on the one side because it's gonna hang off. Just like that. Okay, and now our greenery. So I'm going to put one up this way and this other green one down that way. That's going to go there. And I'm going to put, this is also in foam, so let me put some foam on the back of that. One. All right, so you'll have "'Tis the Season," but mine says "Christmas Greetings," so I'm going to put that right here. All right, and so this little piece, and you can just tuck it wherever you feel like you need more. I'm going to put mine right in there. Okay. And then we have these two blue pieces, which I have tucked back here on this blue panel. Okay. So I'm going to just put adhesive on right here and here because I don't, on the inside of my card, I don't want that. So I'm actually going to open it up. Well, actually, I'm not going to open it. I want to see where it goes. So I'm going to tuck one in there like that. So I just put it on those two little outside things because those are going to show, and whatever you feel like is going to actually stick on the blue. Okay. So I'm going to put them like that. And so when we open the card, we see. Now you can leave that if you want, it's really not hurting anything, but I'm going to go ahead and trim mine off. So I'm going to open the card from behind and just go in and trim those off. Okay. Now we need to tie this twine up the top. So you're going to have a long piece of twine and a short piece. So this longer piece, what I want you to do is to take it, and so that you have about 1/4 inch on each side, and we're going to make a trim. Okay, you can even go more, 1/2 inch if you need it. 2. So we're gonna, so the other thing you do is just cut it into 3 equal portions. Okay, so we've got 3 strips like this. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to flip our card over. and we are going to put it where we want it here, like so. Okay, and then flip our card over. So now I have it trapped under there, and I have some Scotch tape, and we are going to take those ends and fold them over. So I have 1, 2, I'm missing one, where are you? 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We're going to tape them on. Get another piece of tape and do the same thing. Now you can wrap it around if you have enough twine. It may be a bit tight, so this is the option if it's too tight. Okay, so there's those 3 pieces, and we're going to tape them on. All right, and now they look like they're wrapped around. We're going to take the shorter piece that you had, we're going to tuck it under, and we're going to tie a bow. Even out the ends. All right, and I'm just going to trim that little extra off, and that card is finished. Now, when you open this card, if this bothers you that you could see it, the option would be to get a piece of cardstock and cover it up. And you know, you could put some wet glue, that might ensure that it doesn't move. But if it doesn't bother you, then you're good to go, and that card is finished. Okay, our next card is Peace, Joy, Love. This is a slimline card, and this one should go together pretty quickly. So I'm going to put this over here. Out my kit, and of course my sequins fell all the way to the bottom. Let's see if I can get those out. There we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is poke out these pieces. And now let's layer up our cards. So the first thing we're gonna do is put down our gray cardstock. Or I think your kits have a silver shimmer paper. And that's gonna go on your card base, centered. Make sure your card's open the right way before we do the next step. So now, because we're working with a 6.5-inch paper pad, that paper will not stretch across the span of the slimline card. So we are going to have to, I cut it into squares or rectangles to go behind the squares, all right? So it's gonna be like that. Now these are kind of a tight fit, so you don't have a lot of room for error. So there's several ways you can do this. You can lay them down, put some temporary adhesive, or just put a little, here's one suggestion, is just a bit of adhesive, okay? And using this as a guide, this is where we want it centered, and we're just gonna tuck those in. So you can get them where you want them. Like so. Stick it down. Okay, so that's one option. You can do that all the way across. One thing I showed in class, I'm going to show you. And the reason why we can't just stick it to the back is because I have it popped up on foam so that our snowflakes can fit inside. So if you don't want the foam, then this could go a lot quicker, a lot easier. The other option I showed yesterday was in class was to get a piece of, get some Post-it tape. So I'm going to get one or some kind of temporary adhesive, and I'm going to put these right where I want them. Okay, so there's one. I'm going to put the other one where I want it. Make sure the whole thing's covered. Okay, and the last one covered. Okay, and then you can go ahead and put more adhesive. Oops. And then flip it over and you can put it right where you want it. And then this will come right up, and then we can take those off and use them again for something else. Okay, and then if you want that down more, you can just add more adhesive to get those to stick. So I have those down where I want them. Now I'm going to put foam on the back of my frame. So I have some sticky foam strip here. Okay, I've removed the backing, and now we're going to place that down. So to make sure your Peace, Love, Joy is at the bottom of your card. Okay, so there it is. And now we have our snowflake. Okay, so we're going to add some glitter. You can see on the snowflakes there. So I have some Crystal Clear by Paperlicious. Get that open. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some dots of glue on the edges. Whoops. Just like this, because in this glitter, there's big chunks of like clear, they look like glass shards. There's glitter. So I'm gonna put, I don't know if you can tell, I have glue, and then what I'm gonna do is just dip it into the glitter. Any glitter would work, and then it picks that up. So pretty. So I'm gonna do that to all the edges of my snowflakes, and then we'll come back. Okay, I have all my snowflakes done. And so I'm just gonna put one little foam square in the center, in the back, obviously, of each snowflake. And I'm gonna place them. There's one. The bigger one goes in the center. Two. And three. All right, so one last thing to finish the card. You should have in your kit this little, this part of those shaker bits we used from before. So I'm gonna put a dot in the center of each one. And the pearl drop will go here. And the two sequins will go in the center of the outside ones. And that completes that card. All right, our next card, Merry Christmas. So we have a little bit of inking to do on our greenery, and then this one will go together pretty quick too. So, got my scratch paper here. You'll have this. This is for your little hollies here. We're just gonna set that aside. Okay, so we are going to color our greenery. So these pine pieces we're gonna cover in ice spruce, these holly pieces in bundled sage, and then we're gonna use vintage photo on all the die cuts and the tips of these evergreens. Okay, so I'm going to do that quickly. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with the vintage photo and just do the tips of these branches. Let's add some brown in there. Okay, so those are done. And then while I have my vintage photo out, I'm gonna ink the edges of everything else. Everything is inked. The one last thing, and I'm gonna leave it up to you. I inked the inside of these holly berries, but it's kind of one of those things. They're so little, but this is how you would go about that. It's probably not necessary, but it felt almost too bright when I didn't, so. Okay. And the last little one. Okay. So let's go ahead and put our card together. So first thing is this birch paper. It's gonna go down onto our white card base. Okay. And this is going to go right in the center. All right, now we're going to put foam around our frame. Okay, I have the foam on there and ready to stick. So I'm going to put that right over our deer scene. This big piece is going to go there, so I'm going to put some glue right there, and that is going to go here. Okay, and then we have another, I'm going to put another piece right there. All right, and then you're going to have one coming up. I'm going to do that. So one this way, that one that way. Okay. And then this one I'm just gonna trim a little bit off. And I've got a piece kind of coming right there. It's gonna be covered by my circle, so. All right. And then this piece is going to go right there. So I'm going to put a dot of glue right there and our holly there, and then our berries we're going to put on there. So I'm just going to put some in the outline and stick that right on top where I want it, and then glue, 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 and we are going to place those centers. I'm going to use my jewel picker and stick those in there. So there's the little berries. Okay, and then let's go ahead and put this together. All right, and that is going to go up here. And then what I did here is I'm going to cut off this one that's kind of all by itself. And this I'm going to tuck here. Let's go ahead and put some glue there. Put your circle there. Some glue there. We're going to tuck that one in. And this one. I'm going to tuck it right there. All right. So I'm going to do that so everything stays in place while it's drying. And then the finishing touch for this card would be to add some more of that Paperlicious glitter to the evergreens. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to take my glue and Kind of draw some lines on the edges. And you don't have to get every last bit. It's just, you can kind of see if I miss some, that's okay. We just want it to pick up some of the, make it look like there's snow. All right, and that finishes off that card. Okay, our next card, Merry Christmas. Put that over here. Okay, here is your kit. And we're gonna start. Nobody is gonna see that tag cut out. We're just gonna cover that up. Put that down on your card base. Okay. And then you have in your kit a pre-cut border from the back of your paper pad. I obviously used that one on my sample, so I just used a piece of the stripe paper, and we're going to use that instead. And so this, if you had that big strip, I would tell you to glue it on and just have a bit of that showing, but this is such a thin strip that I'm just going to glue it on next to it. So what we're going to do now, actually before we do that, we are going to put our, you do not want to glue this piece down until we do this portion of the card, because we're going to stick that extra twine to the back. You can see you don't want that on the inside of your card. So let's do that first. So I am going to pop up the tag. All right, so it's kind of down here in the corner. So we're gonna just put that down like that. And then what we're gonna do is thread that through. You're gonna have two pieces, and then I'm just gonna trim that right about there. You'll have some extra to tie your bow. So what we're gonna do is take another piece of Scotch tape, grab those two ends, pull it the way we want it, flip it over, and tape it to the back. Okay. All right, so there we go. Now we can place this piece down. Okay, so now I'm going to put that strip, which you should already have on the back of yours. You should have glued it to the back and trimmed off the excess. I have a strip. I'm going to trim off the extra. All right, so now we can take this, we're going to thread it through here, and then we're going to tie a bow right at the top of the tag. I don't want to tie it on the tag. That paper is thin, and I was afraid I was going to break it. So just right at the top, tie your bow, get it the way you want it, and cut off any excess. Okay, and now we're going to put this snowflake on. All right, lined right up. Put that on there to hold that down while I put foam on the back of my little ticket here. Okay, so I have that little ticket ready. I want to put it right in the center, and that card is finished. Time for our last card, Merry Christmas, with a big pile of gifts. So you're gonna end up, you got a bunch of these gifts to fussy cut. So I'm gonna do that first. You should have 12, and then we'll come back to put it together. So we are going to put the blue stripe paper on the right side of the card, lined up with the edge. Okay, and then we are going to take these gifts and stack them up here. So start with this big blue one here, and the point kind of comes right here where that seam is, if that helps you get started. Okay, and then from that point, some of these are going to be on foam. This one is on foam. And this one is not. All right, go ahead and just see how that looks. There it is. I see this little thing is tucked behind there. You can use wet glue too, whatever works, but this I can move them if I need to. Just like that. I have my foam in the wrong place. Okay. This piece is tucked here. This long one is here. All right, let's see. Looks like this one is gonna go back in here. And really, this is just whatever's pleasing to you. There's really no right or wrong way, but hopefully you can see in the picture what I've done. Now I'll tuck those in like that. This one is back in here. So I know that blue one also comes up to the corner there. There we go. That's there. This one is here. This a lot of playing around. So one thing I did when I actually designed this card is I laid them the way I wanted them. Nothing was glued down. I took a long piece of Post-it tape and went like this, picked them all up, put adhesive on the back, and then pulled it off. And then if I wasn't, if I wanted one on foam, then I did that. So that's one way that might be easier than what I'm doing here, which is a lot of ripping up and whatnot. Okay, last little ones here. This is tucked in there, and that goes there. Okay, this one is also on foam, and it is kind of right in here, and this must be an extra, so you can tuck it in if you want. Your sentiment, I'm using Season's Greetings, You'll Have This Merry Christmas, that kind of comes on it was part of the cut aparts, and so I kind of fussy cut around it. It's up to you if you want to keep it the solid black. But I think I'm going to leave that gift right there. Just tuck it in there. And then I did put this on foam. All right, so I have just foam on the right side of it because this is actually going to stick onto my gift. So I'll just stick that onto there like that. And then one last thing I did to create a little bit more texture is like this gift right here. I'm just going to put a foam square behind that. Even though the bottom portion is stuck down, that part is sticking up. So I did that with some different ones here and there. It's up to you. You can glue them all straight down if you want. I'm going to do that here as well. And it just gives it some more dimension and make it appear as if those gifts really are stacked on one another. So I'm going to do one more here. Looks like this one. And that card is complete. You could always add some glitter or whatnot if you wanted to really dress it up, but that is it. That completes this card and this class. I hope you enjoyed your kit. This was beautiful paper. I really just could have kept going with cards, but 7 is our lucky number, so that's what we did here. So thanks for joining us today. We'll talk to you soon.